Hey YouTube, my name is Heather and I love anti-MLM content here on YouTube. Today I'm really excited for us to watch a portion of Carl Daikeler's speech at the 2022 Beachbody Summit. Now, this individual coach who posted this video on their YouTube page started to record and ended the recording at kind of a strange time, but I think there's still some valuable content in this clip of his speech that is worthwhile for us to listen to and react to. Really excited to watch this video, and as always, please let me know what you think about this down below.
To be tired. I don't mean from 3 days of partying at Summit. But I'm talking about how we felt coming into Summit, tired with life. I know that's real for a lot of you. You've been tired. And you're allowed to feel tired. This is just called compassion for ourselves, letting ourselves be human in a world that we can't control. And while we're at it, let's all give ourselves a break for eating something because we really wanted to eat it, or taking a day or a week off our workouts, maybe because that's a healthy choice we really needed. Unless we find a way to be compassionate for
So he's telling us we need to be compassionate and allow ourselves to take a break from our workouts or eat something unhealthy for us just because we really wanted it. I think that's really contradictory to how Beachbody nutrition programs are actually set up because there's a very clear list of foods you can eat and foods you can't eat. And he's telling us to have compassion for ourselves. But, sir, how come you're telling us that in one breath, but then you know how restrictive your nutrition programs are and that there's whole lists of food that you're not allowed to have? Beachbody coaches are also strongly encouraged to never miss a workout because we've seen on the Success Club business activity tracker, there is 7 boxes for your workout and 7 boxes for your Shakeology that you have to check off each day. And so he's telling us now it's okay to miss a workout, but then in the tracker that you made in collaboration with your top coaches, it's telling us that we can never miss a workout. So you're already contradicting yourself, sir.
ourselves, we won't be good at providing compassion to others, and that's part of coaching. That's how you reach your potential.
Providing compassion to others is not part of coaching. Coaching is recruiting and selling a product.
Of creating a team that is cohesive, being that person who can have empathy, not just tough love, but compassion. And if we're going to constantly be judging ourselves, that'll turn into constantly judging others, and that's what's exhausting. That's also exactly what's undermining you from remembering your potential, because how can you visualize your success when we're judging ourselves for every little thing these days and judging everybody else? There's no.
So I might not be quoting this perfect, but how can we visualize our success when we're judging ourselves so harshly? Something along those lines. So I think he's very lightly insinuating that you're not successful because you're being too judgmental on yourself. And if you were just nicer to yourself and had better self-talk, then you would be able to find success. What do you think about that?
Room for dreams when you're spending your time judging and competing. And this is what we need to change. We need to work toward our goals, absolutely. But we also need to be able to enjoy the process and allow for different rates of success and ups and downs today.
Enjoy the process, allow for different rates of success up and down. That means that even though you've been in Beachbody, say, for 5 years and you're only a diamond coach and you jump between emerald and diamond because you're always dropping your rank, you have to enjoy the process and you have to understand that being a business owner in Beachbody means that you're going to have ups and downs and you are going to drop rank and income, but you just have to have positive self-talk because if you're not kind to yourself, how are you supposed to find success in Beachbody?
Here's where it starts. I've hinted at things that are coming. I've hinted that there's going to be changes to the business model, things that will make it easier for coaches to pick this up and run with it. That's what I'm going to present at leadership this year.
Carl, why isn't your compensation plan and business model easy for coaches to pick it up and run with it? Because all of your coaches advertise it in that way on social media. So it's really interesting that you're now saying it's not easy to pick it up and run with it. Weird.
Because I want to help you create more ups with less downs, more successes and less setbacks. And I'm working with a pretty amazing and experienced group of people who will help me put this together for us. And this shift I'm planning is going to help. But We're going to stop fighting with ourselves and with our expectations. We're going to simplify what.
I wonder what this shift in the business model is going to be. How will it make it easier for coaches to have more ups and less downs? And again, sir, I thought your business model was the most incredible plan ever and the most incredible structure. And now you're saying that it needs revision so coaches can pick it up easier and run with it. I find that interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what changes are made.
Coaches do. We'll simplify how we look at fitness and eating. We're not going to back off of the challenge of working out or the importance of helping people look consciously at what they eat or relax any of the expectations that we have for the quality of our supplements. That's going to continue to be so good that they're in a category unto themselves. But we're going to refine it so that more people can immediately get it, pick up the baton and run with it. And we'll begin this shift now by doing this incredibly heroic work with a mindset which has more compassion and which broadens the appeal. So instead of convincing people to participate, next year they're going to be asking you if they can participate. And it's funny.
So he just said that Beachbody is incredibly heroic work. And with the changes coming up, with the changes coming up, then people, instead of you having to ask people to join, they're going to ask you to join. So first, I think it's comical that he thinks MLM distributors are doing heroic work. I think very few professions can actually state they're doing heroic work. I'll think during the COVID-19 pandemic, I would say teachers, definitely, truck drivers, doctors, nurses, police officers, therapists, because a lot of people were struggling and are continuing to struggle mentally, social workers. Let me know if I missed any down below. People who, without them, the economy, our society would not have continued to function. Workers at grocery stores, pharmacists, individuals who worked really hard to ensure that everyone had the basic supplies and necessities that they needed during that time. So I think that's comical. Carl, you're not doing heroic work. People in Beachbody are not doing heroic work. And he said with these changes, it's going to be easier for people to come to you. And unfortunately, we know in network marketing, in MLM, very few distributors actually get to a point where they have people coming to them and they can actually build a full business off of attraction marketing alone. What do you think?
But the transition I'm talking about actually started last December. And in fact, it's been happening all year. I just didn't really identify it until a couple months ago. But it started with the launch of Job 1, where we began to message the importance of making yourself, your health, your priority, at least 20 minutes a day. Tens of thousands of you have done that. Then the launch of the special eating program, To Be Pregnant, from Alana, where we continue to provide resources for people at different stages of life. And in this case, they're making an actual human being. We gave people new tools for a healthy pregnancy. And we continued to see this transition with 4-week gut protocol and 4 weeks for everybody, where Autumn once again puts herself way out there, fighting to make an exceptionally complex issue simple so our coaches can embrace it. And she created this simple gateway to getting answers about how food might be affecting your well-being in so many different ways.
Related to the 4-week gut protocol, anyone who did that program or knows a lot about it, what do you think? Do you think it's a simple gateway to figure out how food affects your well-being? From what I saw and the coverage I saw across YouTube, it's very complicated with a very complex list of foods that are allowed and aren't allowed. And it was a big struggle for a lot of coaches to navigate the program and figure out what they were actually allowed to eat. So I think that's false.
And we gave people 4 weeks to change their pace with no impact in their workout program. That's still challenging.
The 4 weeks for everybody workout program that went with the 4-week gut protocol, they all said it was no impact, but it's a low impact workout because there were lunges, there were squats. Very few workouts are actually truly no impact. And Autumn started to change her wording and started to say low impact, but it's funny that he's saying no impact still.
Challenges you and gets results. And it's nothing short of a phenomenon that people will repeat over and over again. Some people question this as we move from measuring everything by the quality of the before and after photo toward how our products make you feel and how they enhance your life. Some ask us, hey.
Interesting. So I thought Beachbody was a health and fitness company, not a weight loss company. But now Carl's telling us that previously they measured everything by the quality of the before and after photo. And yes, you can have a different after photo without weight loss if you're just like getting more muscular or leaner, even if you did not lose weight. But majority of like the main purpose for before and afters is weight loss. What do you think?
What happened to the P90X company, the weight loss company? And now, first thing and last thing come along to help people with stress, immunity, feeling sharp, sleeping better. What's Beachbody about that? See the theme here? This is moving from a business turning out before and afters to a business moving into a space of self-care, self-esteem, and enjoyment of the actual experience of well-being.
I thought Beachbody was always about health and wellness and self-esteem because that's how it's portrayed all across social media. I did this 4-week gut protocol and it changed my life. I'm so much happier. I sleep so much better now. So I thought that's what it was always like, but maybe I misinterpreted all the social media posts and Beachbody communications materials, but I'm a little bit confused by this.
Let's not forget Fire and Flow. Total innovation, where we listened to the subscribers and gave them a revolutionary approach to balancing exercise intensity with self-love and recovery, to balance tension with reflection. We're changing the human experience of what the very concept of health and fitness means, and we're just getting started.
So Carl's changing the human experience of the concept of health and fitness. I think human you has to have a pretty healthy ego to say something like that when you're an MLM CEO, that you're changing the entire concept in the face of health and fitness. I think that's a very, very significant statement, and it's not true.
Now, we look ahead to Lift More, a program that is actually predictable for Beachbody in many ways. This seems like something that would come from a Beachbody company. Yet again, what's radically different is how we approach it. The before and afters are amazing, but what's miraculous is the experience. Couples working out together, celebrating the feeling of lifting heavy things, even the commitment to consistency by placing a bench at the center of your home workout space. We're not making money on the bench, and we could have rounded the corner and made it easier to sell more by saying, the bench is optional, but that would have undermined the quality of the experience. We're demonstrating that this decision is more than about what you can achieve in 8 weeks. It's about how you and your customers experience the process on your way to achieving your potential. We want that experience to be amazing. So you need a bench for stabilization and to help you see how much more weight you can lift and how different your results are when you lift more.
So a few things in there. First, he says that lift more is revolutionary because couples are doing it together and finding results together. That's the same for every fitness program anywhere. You can do a fitness program with your spouse anytime you want. It doesn't have to be through Beachbody. And from my understanding, there is nothing specific in Lift More that makes it more suitable and easy for a couple to do. So I'm not really sure why he calls that revolutionary, although we know that every single Beachbody program that's ever released is called revolutionary. It's called a game changer. They're always changing the face of fitness constantly. And that's just the wording that Carl likes to use. He also said that you need a bench for Lift More. I'm not a fitness professional, so I don't know, but do you think you could actually do a weightlifting program without a bench and still get good results? In my brain, probably. You probably could. You probably don't need expensive equipment, but I don't know. So please let me know that down below. Deanna Mims, a long time ago on her channel, made a wonderful point about how Beachbody is touted to be a cheaper option than going to the gym. But then with all of these programs, not all of them, sorry, some of them you're expected to have equipment like Lift More. You're supposed to have different size dumbbells. You have to have a bench, apparently. You have to have yoga mat. You have to have an ab ball, sometimes bands. You need to really collect a lot of equipment for these different Beachbody programs. And I feel like it might be cheaper for a certain amount of time to work out at home with Beachbody, but then over the long term, if you're continuing to buy into all these programs, you're probably developing a pretty significant home gym with a lot of different equipment. And I'm not sure in the long run if it's actually cheaper. What do you think?
And that's how we're helping empower people to make this a lifestyle, by focusing on the experience, not just the outcome. But look, the reality of working in this environment over the last year is undeniable, even as we make this transition. And I know people are tired. Employees are tired. Many of you don't feel empowered. Hopefully Summit will help that. Many people are scared. What's happening in the world? It's exhausting trying to keep up when everything around us is unpredictable and changing.
You're right, Carl. All of your coaches and all of your employees are probably extremely burnt out and stressed, and they're not sure how the current environment is going to affect the revenue of the company and their income.
So, here's how you get untired.
Here's how you get untired. The way to handle burnout is to take a rest, Carl.
Here's how you get control of the fear that might be paralyzing you or your team. So instead, you can start thriving again. First, by thriving energetically and emotionally, and then thriving in terms of feeling empowered to grow your business and get back to dreaming again. Here it is. You need to let go of the past. Let go of the way things were. And fiercely, aggressively accept that things are different. Social media.
I can't stand when people in MLMs start to talk like a therapist and say, okay, you go to a therapist, you're like, I'm super burnt out, I'm stressed, help me. And then they come at you and say, let go of the past, accept things the way they are. I don't like hearing when MLM coaches and distributors try to give advice that could be mental health related, and that's really not positive advice. Sorry, I'm not verbalizing my thoughts. Months and months ago on this channel, I did a video called Beachbody Psychology 101, where a top Beachbody coach was telling us that to be successful as a coach, we needed to learn how to move through struggle faster, not move through struggle and recover when we're ready and once we have addressed our traumas and our issues. No, you just have to move through it faster, and then you can get back to focusing on Beachbody and what matters. So in this case, you have to let go of the past and focus on how things are now, so you can continue to buy into the Beachbody scheme and stay in the system for as long as possible.
Media is different. The world is always changing. We don't know what the next variant is going to be. We don't know how this economic shift is going to affect our plans. But we know what we see today. We know people want to feel good and they want to feel healthy. We know that. And if we embrace that reality and get creative without expecting things to go back, we can affect positive change. And in fact, we can even benefit from this environment. The one thing we do know.
So, Carl, we can benefit from people feeling scared and tired and overwhelmed and worried for their health. That's disgusting. That's a horrible thing to say. We can benefit from people's vulnerability. It is a horrible thing, even though we all know that's how MLM is structured, that very few people actually join these companies when they're at a good point in their life and when they're satisfied with how things are going. Majority of the time, people join when they're missing something, when they're struggling financially or mentally, or they don't have friends, or they're in a really vulnerable point in their lives. And in the Beachbody context, it was a lot more harmful during the pandemic because yes, people were scared to go outside. People were very worried about their health. And so these health and fitness MLMs, they really push their supplements as a way to boost your immunity and make sure you're healthy during this time. So if you were to get COVID, that you could fight it off easier. And the big part with Beachbody is their workouts, of course, right? And it was phrased as make sure you keep exercising so your body can fight off the virus. And there was lots of fear that was being preyed on and everyone's vulnerability because 99.9% of the world was vulnerable in some way during the pandemic. And a lot of coaches in Beachbody saw their businesses explode during that time because they were able to recruit more people.
Is we can control the things we can control and how we react to the things we can't. That's where you either give away your power or you claim your power. Stop letting the events of the past and the events of the present, which are out of your control, undermine your power. Take the energy that you spend feeling defeated by the past or disappointed by how things may have evolved for you, and instead assess the current situation, remember your outrageous potential, and respond with creativity, respond with resilience. This is where champions rise up. And when we rise up and control the things we can control, our attitudes, our schedules, our choices, our belief in what we do and who we are, we help other people do the same.
So he's saying we can't think of the past and we have to rechannel our disappointment of how things went in the past to reassess our current situation and move forward with creativity and resiliency. I was going to say resistance. That doesn't make any sense. And the thought of you can only control what you can control is fine in normal life. Like you can't always control how people react to you. You can't control what other people say and do. But in this context, I feel like in this context, he's telling us that you didn't really have control over your business when people were scared and sick, and you can't control your business when people leave, when they realize that they're in a pyramid scheme, and when you have coaches drop off, and when you are dropping rank and you're not making any money. You can't control that. That's not in your control. All you can control is your belief in Beachbody, your belief in the community and the products, and your attitude towards your business. So as long as you continue to have a positive attitude and you continue to practice positive self-talk, you are succeeding because of your mindset and because that's all you can control anyways, your own attitude. So you're winning because you're controlling what you can control. What do you think? Sorry, that was a bit of a ramble.
Some people on social media call you tone deaf, or they'll criticize your defiant, positive attitude because they've chosen the pain of trying to blame the world for their financial condition and expecting someone to come fix it for them.
That's interesting. So the majority of people on social media are blaming the world for their financial situation. He's being extremely tone deaf right now because he knows the vast majority of coaches in his audience aren't making any money and probably put themselves into significant debt to get there. And are they blaming others for their financial situation? No, sir. And it's so interesting how he's talking about how tone deaf people think his coaches are. And he's sitting there saying that I think he's pretty much saying that people are in a vulnerable financial situation because their mindset, because they don't want to take control of their lives and make a change to improve their lives. And it's all their fault, even though a lot of people during COVID lost their jobs, lost income through no fault of their own. It's still their fault because they haven't gotten out of that situation yet. And in my opinion, only if only they saw Beachbody, if only they saw the way, they would get out of it. What do you think?
To the haters, because they've decided that they're going to wait for somebody to come help them, and if nobody comes and helps them, they're going to criticize anybody who's taking their own initiative. So they resent the people who took the initiative to work to create something better. They've chosen to stay trapped, and they can't.
So people on social media, they don't resent the initiative of Beachbody coaches. I think people were calling coaches or MLM distributors tone deaf during the pandemic because I already said this. People were losing their jobs. People were scared for their health. People didn't know how they're going to put food on the table. And then people in MLMs were all over social media touting the life-saving benefits of their health-related products and saying, if you buy into my scheme, you are going to be able to have money to work from home during and after this pandemic and make sure you're safe and healthy for your family. And it was just horrifyingly predatory and disgusting behavior. And that's why people called MLM distributors tone deaf, because they're preying on the vulnerabilities of the majority of the world, not because they took their own initiative and joined a pyramid scheme. Carl, I love how you're changing the narrative to paint a specific picture of Beachbody coaches as people who just are sharing how they took initiative. They're just sharing their story. They're not necessarily trying to prey on vulnerable people to get them to be a member of their downline. What do you think?
Accept your choice to create your future, but they aren't you. They don't control you, and you are not trying to change them. Your job is to look at the current situation, remember your potential, your ambition, and control the things you can control with fierce determination. And I do mean fierce. let me repeat what Julie said. I want the other women who are there, who are tired, who don't know how to juggle all of the things, who don't know how they'll take one more day of bad news, of feeling less than in this world, to feel like this business is their hope, their solution, their way to make a difference for their families and communities.
So he's telling us Beachbody is the answer for all vulnerable women everywhere, and it's going to fix all of their problems in life, no matter what. That's what he's saying.
And I believe this business is the solution. It is the hope for women and men. You know why? Because I've watched enough of you do it to know that it's possible. I know the difference is attitude and belief, the courage to work through relationship struggles rather than cancel people. If you have
So he says Beachbody is the solution for women because he's seen enough people do it and make lots of money from it. And he just said you have to have courage to work through relationship struggles instead of cancel people. I don't really know what the cancel part means, but he just means you have to work through every traumatic experience in your life, any like divorce or loss of a loved one or a sick parent or sick sibling, anything. You just have to keep working and contribute to his bottom line as the CEO of Beachbody. So I also find it super interesting that he thinks Beachbody is the answer. While he knows the statistics on his company where only a tiny, tiny portion of people are actually making a living wage where they can kind of pay their rent and cover their expenses and contribute to their communities. He knows this, and that's what makes this even more wrong and unethical. As a CEO, he knows how much his coaches are making, and he's still standing there touting the fact that Beachbody is the answer for everyone's life problems. And it's just a way to brainwash the low-level coaches who are going into debt and who put themselves into debt to get here, to listen to him talk and say, this is the answer. I know it's the answer. Just keep pushing. And it's a brainwashing tactic for the lower level coaches. What do you think?
Have the courage to be vulnerable and humble enough to forgive and be compassionate toward people. You have the courage and resilience to let go of the past, to take full responsibility for your outcome and move forward in your power. Hey, look, you had the courage.
Let go of the past, take full responsibility for the outcome, and move forward in your power. That's a word salad if I've ever heard one. He wants us to just move on from the past, just leave it alone, even if you haven't fully addressed it with a counselor yet. You have to take responsibility for yourself. So you're failing in your business. You're not making any money because something's deficient with you. It's nothing to do with the business structure. It's your fault. And then you have to move forward. You have to move forward from there to fix your situation. The sad part is there's no way to fix your situation as a low-level Beachbody coach because we know that for people to be at the top of the pyramid, there needs to be thousands and thousands of people at the bottom to make no money because you always need new recruits coming in at the bottom for people in the middle and the top to be ranking up.
Courage to get here. You didn't have to come here. And I'm not throwing shade at people who couldn't make it for so many reasons. I mean, but still, you guys got here. Take that in for a minute. You're here. You haven't quit. And even though you may be tired, even though you feel like you can't take one more day of bad news, with all that's going on, you have not quit on this.
He was telling the people who are at Summit that they were brave enough to get to Summit, but he's not throwing shade on those who couldn't get there. He's not throwing shade. And he's saying that everyone at Summit is a super impactful and important because they haven't quit. And we know the only way to fail in Beachbody is to quit. Even though if you're a diamond coach for 5 years and you're making like $2,000 a year in profit, that's not a failure, even though you're not able to feed your family and you're barely making any money. You only fail as a low-level coach making no money if you quit because you have to stay in the system for as long as possible.
You have not quit on yourself. Take that in for a moment. Give yourself a round of applause. You don't quit. You have not given up on yourself. You showed up. And I don't think you will ever quit because you want something more. And that's how we get to that third goal and the hope that Julie expressed. I put up a post the other day asking coaches why they coach. What problem are they trying to solve for themselves? And I got over 1,000 replies. But in general, there were two themes that came up. One, the top why was income. Okay, I want to generate more income for myself. And
of course, the top why was income because it's marketed in such a way that you join Beachbody and all your financial struggles will disappear because this is the most brilliant business opportunity in the entire world.
The second, it was close second, was to prove you have more to offer the world. Now let's take a hard look at that, because while I understand the sentiment of being tired, I mean, I get it. And there's a reason I keep coming back to it, because I know it's playing on repeat in the back of your mind, especially once you leave here. That'll be an emotion that comes back. I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired. I really do understand the sentiment of feeling tired and overwhelmed. People ask me how I keep going, even though surely I'm tired and overwhelmed sometimes. Here's how I keep going. I made the decision that no matter what, I keep going. Look.
So I'm going to stop here because, as I said, it kind of cuts off in a weird spot, and that is the main, like his last main point that he's making, that he gets tired all the time, he gets overwhelmed, but he just keeps going, and that's the idea of toxic positivity in Beachbody. Doesn't matter what you're going through, you just have to keep working and keep making your business and yourself a priority. In Beachbody, it's touted that the only way to make yourself a priority is to focus on your Beachbody business. There's no other way in their minds of the top level coaches to practice self-care. Like, what if someone needs to just sit on the couch and watch Netflix all weekend? What if someone wants to have a big nap in the middle of the day? There are other ways to practice self-care without continually working your Beachbody business so much so that you get burnt out and exhausted and you need even more of a break. Because if you don't address burnout when you notice it, when it's occurring, it can get a lot worse and you can be even less productive later on down the road because it could potentially take you longer to get back into it. So that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this little video, this little clip of Carl Daikeler's Beachbody Summit 2022 speech. And I'd love to hear what you think about this down below. Bye.